Welcome to part 2 of building a custom cave. Today we're going to be working on the decoration in detail. First we're going to work on the entrance to the cave. I've already built the actual cave, but I did not do the entrance. The entrance and the exits are like the hardest part for me, so I always do those last. I'm figuring out the overall shape of the entrance first, and then later on, after I figure out the shape, I will go more into detail. I decided to go with a more wider opening so you could see the inside of the cave from the outside. I was having trouble, so I started focusing on this one corner. I was hoping that figuring out and getting this corner right would help me with the rest of the entrance. It helped me a little bit, and I was able to move on to a different part of the entrance. I was working on the top middle part, and this is definitely where I had the most trouble because I tried multiple different designs and I could not get it to work. I didn't like it, so I got rid of some of it. Part of the inside needed to be filled in with dirt. It was too empty and it just didn't look right. I decided to get rid of the top middle part because it did not look natural. I took a step back to look at it because that can usually help to figure out what's wrong with it or what needs to be done. It definitely helped this time because I found out that it was too flat and did not have enough dimension. The general shape is complete. Now it is time to add color and different variation. I started placing leaves down because these add more color and dimension to the actual build. Leaves can be used in a variety of different ways. In this case, I was using them as like overgrown vines that are more 3D than the actual vines in the game. I started to place the leaves more sporadically because if you place them too patterned or symmetrical, it just won't look natural. I started to use the leaves more like bushes here, and I wanted them to be like overgrown and start going into the ocean. I proceeded to do the same thing on the other side of the cave entrance. I'm glad I took a step back to look at what I just built because after I did, I found out that it looked absolutely horrible and I got rid of the leaves. I placed the leaves in a different order, and I think it is safe to say this 100% looks better than it did before. And also, I might have went a little overboard on the leaves, but I think it looked pretty nice. Now it's time to work on the inside of the cave. I continue to use the leaves as bushes for the inside of the cave. This area is going to be like a small little pond, so I thought it would look nice with a little bush right at the corner of it. I made this one a little bit bigger because I wanted to give it a more like overgrown vibe coming out of like the ceiling or like this weird darker cave area. I think that's perfect. And that's it for the bushes. After I finished using the leaves as bushes in the cave, I decided to get rid of the torches because they just don't look good, and there's so many better options for lighting, such as glowstone, redstone lamps, lanterns. You can use fire, campfires, there's sea lanterns. There's just so many options. I wanted to do something that was more aesthetically pleasing and look better than torches. I don't know if this is a mod or actually in the game, but if you hit F7, a little X pops up on the block. Either there is no X, there's a yellow X or a red X, and if there is an X, like a red X, it means that mobs can spawn there because the light levels are too low. So I used that feature to figure out where I would place my glowstone and carpet for a light source. I continued to do that until all of the red X's were gone on the ground. I placed a few extra glowstone and carpet just to get rid of the extra ones that I already had in my inventory. After I finished placing the glowstone and lighting sources, I moved on to this little pond. I filled it up with water and made every single block a source block. After making every block a water source block, I started moving on to the decoration. First I added sea pickles, and then I used coral and seagrass. And done. I finished that small little pond and then I moved on to this river. This river leads from the ocean into another pond that's farther into the cave. I started with the bottom block and making that a water source, and then I was going to move on to the block above that and also make that a water source. I did that because sea pickles require the block that they're on to be a water source, and I was going to add sea pickles, so I was like, I have to make these a water source. I finished making everything a water source, and now it's time to make everything look nice by adding coral, seagrass, and sea pickles. I tried to place everything strategically, yet randomly, so it didn't look like it was fake. I did the same thing with the coral, except this time I tried not to put the same color coral pretty close together. I did place some of the same color coral close together. That was by accident, but later on when I took a step back and looked at it, I was like, it's not that bad, it'll be fine. I was almost done placing all the coral when I realized I didn't have any more seagrass, and I was gonna have to go get more. I didn't want to get it right now, so I decided to work on something else and light up the rest of the cave with lanterns. I noticed there were some dark spots on the walls and on the ceilings that had red X's, so I decided to fix that by placing lanterns, and I chose lanterns because they look better than torches. They kind of give off like a rustic feel for the cave. Once I finished with the lanterns, I went out and got more seagrass, and I was able to finish up the river. I definitely went a little crazy with the seagrass because I ended up placing it on every single block that was left open in the river. And I took a step back and thought it looked nice, but after a few hours I decided it didn't, and I've now gotten rid of most of that seagrass. I added lily pads as the final touch for the river. I ended up adding another bush and changing where the light source was, and I think it turned out really nice. It was time to work on the outside, where the entrance was, and I already had leaves and some bamboo, but I decided to add more. I plan on doing this around the rest of my base, but that's for a later time. I think once the bamboo fully grows and I add more leaves and other bamboo to different parts of my island and go all the way around, this can look extremely nice. To finish this cave up, I added a few pieces of sugarcane around the river and the pond, and then after I did that I added a few more lily pads just to finish the job.